Welcome to the Run Lift Mom podcast, where we're talking about running, lifting, and momming, not necessarily in that order. And as an example of out of order, today's conversation is all about momming, specifically postpartum depression. Hey guys, this is a conversation with my business coach, Nina Malosky. It was intended to be like a sound check and to help me with editing. I am a newbie podcaster, and I said, hey, can I practice on you? Here's what happened. We started talking, she opened up, and I feel like this conversation is really important for all mothers to hear. So without further ado, here is my conversation about PPD with Nina Malosky. Nina, I'm going to ask you to open up about postpartum depression. Although I'll tell you, I did not have postpartum depression. But it's something that I want to understand because I know a lot of women have this, or maybe don't even know that they have it, but they have it. Can you talk to me a little bit about, first of all, recognizing it?
Yes, absolutely. So, and you hit the nail on the head, Susie. A lot of moms just don't know that that's what's happening. 1 in 5 women will experience some type of perinatal, which is the new term, mood or anxiety disorder.
What does perinatal mean?
So the reason that we're using the term, or people in the field are using the term perinatal, means it can start during pregnancy. So a lot of moms start to feel depression or anxiety during pregnancy, and they think, well, this there's just something wrong with me, because postpartum depression is after the baby's here. But actually, a lot of times it starts during pregnancy.
Do you think people, when you're pregnant and you have a mood change or something, folks will just be like, oh, hormones. Do you feel like that's it?
Yes, absolutely. And then there's, just like with being a mom, there's that stigma of everything. You're pregnant, it's supposed to be wonderful and happy and baby showers and and then right after you have the baby, you've got this gift. It's the most wonderful thing in the world, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about that. They don't talk about how hard it is. So even if you're not dealing with depression or anxiety, you're dealing with this new reality, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have that, first of all. And then a lot of moms that have postpartum depression, which can look like me, where I would sit, what you would really think of as depression. I was sitting in my car crying every day before I'd go inside. I loved my baby more than anything, but every time I tried to hold him or be near him, I felt like there was a wall, kind of like a mirror, between me and him. We didn't bond right away, which, by the way, is the most horrific thing that you can say out loud when you're a new mom, is I didn't bond with my baby right away. And I didn't know any of this then. It's after my experience with postpartum depression and anxiety. It was really severe. It lasted about 2 years before I could start to come out of it. And now I do a lot of work with maternal mental health. And now I understand that. But I didn't know that then. And mamas don't know that. They think I'm the only one that's ever had this thought. I'm the only one that feels this way. It's very isolating.
Do you feel like it's something where we should be educating women who are expecting, or do you feel like it's more checking in with them, or a combination of the two, like after they've had the baby?
I think it's both. I think so. There's a lot of, thank goodness, there's a lot of attention right now being focused on both pediatricians and OBGYNs to screen. So pediatricians, because that's where the mama's going to be, right? She's going to take that baby to those checkups. Mm-hmm. So screening for postpartum depression and anxiety, perinatal mood disorders at those appointments, not just screening about what is the child doing, but how are you doing as a mom, and then also with the OBGYN, and not just at the 6-week appointment, because symptoms of postpartum depression can start as late as 18 months after the baby's born, depending on hormones and those things. And that's a very little known fact.
So you could be past, celebrating the baby's first birthday and still be in the window for this to occur.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Delayed postpartum depression is what it would be called. That's what mine was called when it was diagnosed at 7 months. I had several people tell me that since I didn't have depression when he was little, quote unquote, that's not what it was. Um, but that's not true at all.
So when
Luckily,
you
I
say
got
people, do you mean like friends or like healthcare providers?
both friends and healthcare providers. Luckily, I have a fantastic OB, and he was able to recognize it. And but it was really hard for me to talk about it, to say what was going on. And then friends, like if we would say like, especially people that are older than you, like moms and grandmas, and it's more
Mhm.
like, hey, your baby's healthy. There's babies that are in the hospital right now. You need to be happy. You've got
Yeah.
what you've always wanted. You prayed for this, so that's hard, because you're like, I know, and I love my baby, and I this is everything I've always wanted. Why can I not enjoy this? Why can I not feel joy? Um it's a really hard situation. And Susie, I want to go back, because I don't want to forget to answer your question, but I think um there does need to be education when, especially like the last trimester of pregnancy. Um, it's just really hard for women to hear, um, to hear that this is going to happen, because this could happen because you think, well, not me. Like
Yeah.
I'm, that's not going to happen to me. I'm fine. So yeah, I think as much education as possible.
A lot of times for any mother, we have this picture of motherhood in our heads, right? So like
Yes.
when you're pregnant, you're picturing, I mean, like I know I never pictured beyond holding said baby and snuggling them, and
Right.
that baby was sleeping and sweet and cuddling
Yes.
with me. My nipples were not torn raw. Like the picture that we have in our heads of motherhood, um it's a lot different from what might actually happen. And so it's hard to admit when that does actually happen, that like, oh, this is a thing that happens in motherhood.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, with social media, with Instagram and Facebook, like it really has become almost like an epidemic, because people compare. Like even, I literally could not get out of bed some days, but on my Facebook, if are to look back, and I'm ashamed of this a little bit now, because I wish that I would have been more open, but if you were to look back at my Facebook page, the days that I couldn't get out of bed, that my husband was literally doing everything. It took all I had to get to work and to get home, and that's it. Those days, I'm posting these happy pictures on Facebook. I'm posting these. There's pictures of me smiling, and now actually it helps to look back. I was like, okay, I was smiling sometimes, um, but
uh,
but I was posting these just great, because that's what you want people to think. That's what it's supposed to be like.
well, yeah,
That's
you're
what you
supposed
think.
to show them 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Look at
Yes,
this picture on a
absolutely.
blanket with numbers that I set up.
Yes, yes. And when you see that, I mean, I have mamas all the time talk to me and say, I don't understand. So and so has it all together. She just posted a picture. She had the baby the same time I did. She just posted a picture in her living room. It's all clean. I get this all the time. It's all clean. I was like, listen, those toys are just behind that camera. Like, like it's just not a real picture. And we really need to, as moms, talk about, hey, this is real life. Like, let me show you a picture of my dishes in the sink. Like,
Hmm.
this is real life. And unfortunately, that social media kind of presence, I don't know if it deters women from talking about what's happening, but I think it could. And I think that, a lot of times, women, even if they know that something's wrong, it's really, really hard for them to talk about it. I think that has something to do with it. And then just the expectation of partners, husbands, same sex partners, everyone saying, "You wait, what do you have to be sad about right now?"
Yeah.
So that's hard.
So let me paint a picture for you. So I'm a military spouse, and so there are babies a lot. Okay, it's the season of life. It's kind of the age that Trey's peers are and that kind of thing. So like probably every month I have a meal train, which is wonderful, right? So
Right.
I've signed up for a meal train. I'm dropping a meal off at a mother's house who probably has posted all of those beautiful pictures on Instagram you were just describing.
Yeah.
How can I, you know what I mean? Like in theory, I don't necessarily know this woman. I'm taking her a meal because that's a nice thing to do and I'm trying to save her some stress. Is there anything that I can ask, or like what can I say to help a woman, or what could I ask to help a woman who might want to open up about some of these feelings?
Oh, Susie, that is such a wonderful, compassionate question. I get asked that a lot as well. And I think the best thing that you can do is two things. One, listen without expecting yourself to respond, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of times we listen to respond, and you really want to fix it. You want to make it right. You want to help her. But a lot of times the best thing you can do for a new mama is just listen to them. Just hear them, validate how they're feeling. If you have had that same experience, if it seems right to relate that, but a lot of times it's just like, I hear you. You're not alone, just being able to talk to someone without them trying to give solutions. And it's really hard for us because we want to say, that's where it comes from. Well, at least your baby's healthy.
Yeah.
Is it comes from because you want to like make it better, but it's okay to be in the uncomfortable. It's okay to feel that way, to feel sad and to feel anxious and to feel like this is harder than you expected. Like it's okay. And I think giving that permission is really powerful.
I love what you said about validating feelings. I'll tell you, Nina, I will never forget. It was some mommy Facebook group, right? And the mom said, I don't even know what her issue was. But I one-upped her. Okay. I'm a triplet mom. My kids were in the NICU for 2 months. And she said something to the degree, I don't know if her child wasn't nursing. I don't know what the issue was. There's a problem. But I snapped back with, well, I couldn't hold Gideon for 2 weeks.
Right.
What a jerk move. And luckily, another mama called me on it and said, I think she just wants to be heard. And I vowed right then and there that I would never like one up somebody else's experience ever again. It's so important to validate the feelings of others because sometimes we just need to be heard.
Yeah, I agree. And Susie, I think, that when we do that as mamas, and I see this a lot, like when we do kind of feel like we need to one up, a lot of times that's our own pain. A lot of times it's like what we have been through that's like, that you're kind of, that's coming out then. But yeah, I think it is hard. A lot of moms, they do it themselves. Like they will think, oh, well, I shouldn't talk to, oh, I did this. I shouldn't talk to so-and-so because like one of my really good friends, her baby was born 3 months that they were due like 2 days apart, and her baby was born 3 months before Noah. And so I wouldn't talk to her about anything that was going on because she had so much going on. And now that we've talked about it later, I really did her a disservice by not trying to keep that friendship as real and as open as it's always been, because with friends, when something's wrong, when something feels off kilter, and when everything else in your world is suddenly different, it really helps for friends to just be there and to talk about what's going on and to share those stories and those experiences. And yeah, and just to listen.
Agreed. Oh, agreed. Okay. Well, guess what? Our 10 minutes turned into like 16. I know that this is practice and this was a sound check. Nina, if like real talk, if I can salvage any of this in the editing process, if you're comfortable with it, I would love to share it. Wow. I really enjoyed my conversation with Nina. Intended to be practice, busted through the whole concept of this podcast, which was supposed to be less than 10 minutes. But I hope this audience will cut me a break on those extra few minutes because Nina's message is important. It's important to talk about the things that you're feeling as an expecting or new mother. Motherhood might not quite feel like you thought it would. And it's also important to be a friend and listen. Thank you so much, Nina, for coming on the Run Lift Mom podcast. And until I get in your earpiece again, remember, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also the life to come. That's from 1 Timothy 4:8. And until I hear from you again, this has been the Run Lift Mom podcast. Hey, Run Lift Mom listeners, you know I'm the mom of 4 kids under age 5, and therefore I am always looking for ways to work smart, not hard. Anchor is the smartest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you why. First of all, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. But Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so then it can be heard on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a whole lot more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is quite literally everything you need all in one place. And y'all, it's free. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Did you enjoy this? Y'all, I am just getting started. You can do me a solid by subscribing, leaving a review, or find me on Instagram or Facebook using the hashtag RunLiftMom and let me know how I can make this better.